Have you ever dreamed of being part of an elite group of people? Sort of like the Avengers or the Justice League? A super team that could rescue people in distress, chart the course of nations, and maybe even save the world. I'm sure you think it's the stuff of fairy tales and movies, or the product of an active imagination. But what if I told you there is such a thing? Would you grab the opportunity and be a part of this team? The Kaduna State Government and Kashim Ibrahim Fellowship brought together a group of young Nigerians to address the problem of leadership, governance, and nation building. The call was made, and 1,337 applications were received by the steering committee. These were scrutinized and reduced to 271 candidates. Further reviews in the second stage brought the number to 66, who were then required to send in a 3-minute video highlighting their aspirations and inspirations. 31 candidates emerged from this third review. It was now up to the governing board to thoroughly assess their applications and settle on a final 16, who would become the first set of Kashim Ibrahim Fellows. The KIF Secretariat contacted the successful candidates, guiding them through the first steps of registration and becoming fellows, thus beginning a relationship of close interaction that would span the next 1 year. The structure of the fellowship program was designed to train these young Nigerians in public sector leadership and the principles of good governance. This was achieved through educational seminars to stimulate conversation and introspection on various leadership values and philosophical leanings. There were also speaker series sessions, providing an opportunity to interact with national and global leaders to draw lessons from their experiences. Policy trips exposed the fellows to the fundamentals of viable policy design. Regular brown bag meetings at government agencies ensured that a rounded view of the organs of government was obtained. And trips to local governments provided a chance to come face to face with the realities of grassroots governance. All of these components broadened and deepened the fellows' understanding and appreciation of leadership issues, and definitely stretched their capacity, hopefully enough to meet the urgent demands of our society. The Kashim Ibrahim Fellowship is a revolution in leadership capacity development. For the fellows, it is a pivotal experience, and we are all deeply grateful to the visionary of this program, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, for the opportunity of a lifetime. Over the period of 1 year, these 16 young people studied, worked, traveled, and lived together, overcoming the barriers of culture, religion, and gender. Together, they became Tarayya, and this is a look into their time as Kashim Ibrahim Fellows.
The most memorable part of my work experience is when I was with the Kaduna State Facilities Management Agency. I am a broadcast journalist, and so to be in this field with engineers, quantity surveyors and all that was totally out of my depth. And by the time I was rounding up my 3 months at Cat Pharma, I almost did not want to leave. I know that I made useful contributions to the agency, and of that I'm very proud of the Kashim Ibrahim Fellowship for that opportunity.
I was privileged to work in budget and planning, Kaduna Public Procurement Authority, Kaduna Investment Promotion Agency, and CADGIS. And I think I've come to realize the advantages or the need of good people to join the public service or the civil service. And I think overall it was a wonderful experience that I will forever remember.
First-hand experiences of governance, at least in Kaduna State level, is the work placement. The work placement has exposed us to really what it is to find yourself in position of leadership. Being at the forefront, so to say, of how decisions are being taken in different sectors of the state has made me understand that not all decisions are useless.
I can say I'm one of the luckiest fellows having been to an agency that is the Kaduna State-based Universal Basic Education, then to a Ministry of Health and Human Services, and then to a commission, Planning and Budget Commission. Of course, we know the bureaucracy of these MDS are different, better of today than before as far as civil service is concerned.
The essence of the education program is for fellows to see governance at subnational level, which includes speaker series where we invite notable people to speak on also about governance. Basically, the education program is to acquaint the fellows into domestic and international policy trips, which involves a lot of readings, study country cases, as well as local government visits, which is also part of the education program.
One of the parts of the education component of our fellowship is the seminars. These are 3 or 4 day retreats essentially that we have in different locations where we focus on specific themes. Themes like leadership, the good society, and the challenges of leadership. For me, it's one of the best parts of the fellowship. You're taken away, you're secluded, and you're immersed into a semi-academic world, but at the same time, it's a great bonding experience. So we are grateful to have good facilitators like Dele and Orede, as well as the governor himself, and great minds like Kim Bello Asagi and others who contribute and facilitate these things. So the seminars are a highlight of the program.
So far, we've had 2 workshops. One was at NIPS School, and the other one was at the Kaduna Business School. The NIPS workshop was on monitoring and evaluation and then policy formulation, good governance. And I think that for all of us, the main takeaway was the idea that there is no such thing as a policy practice gap. It was something we had been discussing before the workshop, where we said that the problem with Nigeria is not that we don't have good policies, but that it's implementation that is the problem. But I think by the end of the workshop, we realized that a good policy should also account for the possible things that can happen. And so if a policy cannot be implemented in the context, then it probably wasn't well written.
The aspect I would like to focus on is the speaker series. There is this statement I got from our speaker series session with Yewande Sadiku, where she said, as much as possible, you should strive to be the best you. And that if you're going to be a part of an average, you should be the one to set the standard. So it's a statement I have since then held dearly, and it's a motivating factor that gets me to do better.
One of the core tenets of the fellowship is community service, and we've had 2 community service weeks in the fellowship. The first week was in December, where we did a week-long program at a school in Rigasa. And the second one was more recently. We did a hepatitis B campaign all over Kaduna State. And one of the things that helped us to be successful, in my opinion, was that we did a lot of planning. We tried to find out one another's strengths and weaknesses. And then based on that, we formed different committees that will help to carry out the Community Service Week.
We look at the fact that we don't want to do this thing alone, we don't want to run this course alone. Can we bring people on board? When we did our first community service at GSS Rigasa, we worked basically with 32 volunteers who were very active. Second community service we did, we worked with 40 volunteers in total. It was really a great experience for me as a person who was in charge of coordinating the volunteers, and the fact that we've actually helped someone to contribute to the society, helping people in the community, people who are not necessarily those who can pay you back.
We were as practical as possible to explain these goals to the students. Example is why they should eat food, why they should clean their environment, talking about equality. And we did public lecture, which we invited the key health stakeholders. For instance, the CDC, that's Center for Disease Control, World Health Organization, Ministry of Health, and other key stakeholders.
We were able to build the school wall. We fenced the school. We erected the tank, and the borehole was established, and the school was connected with electricity. We ran screening tests. Also, blood donation was done to national blood transfusion, where a lot of students donated blood freely after being screened as well.
We were all part of this exciting new project. Of course, there was a lot of excitement, there was expectation, but there was also uncertainty. It makes you you want to lean on each other more. This project brought us together, 16 young people from across Nigeria. From being 16 strangers, 16 strange names on a sheet of paper, this fellowship has brought together 16 people who will remain lifelong friends. That's what we hope for.
This fellowship program has been a wonderful opportunity for me. It has helped to rekindle that hope. Our diversity is actually our strength and not our weakness. Actually, when you're all driven by the same goal, that it doesn't really matter what religious belief you have, it doesn't really matter what culture you have, it doesn't really matter what your ethnic background is. And this fellowship program has helped me find what I would call my second family, a group of people upon which I can rely.
Every fellow has their uniqueness. We have had times when we have disagreed with one another. We have called each other out, we have chewed each other out, we have had open confrontations and be like, you know what, I'm done, I can't even take this anymore. But we come around to settle and we're even stronger. I think that is positive conflict.
There's a saying that you cannot really know someone except you've lived, worked, or traveled with that person. And as the pioneer set of the Kashim Ibrahim Fellowship, we have lived together and worked together and traveled together, and we have symbolized the name, our name, Tarayya. For us, Tarayya is our basis, is our check, it's our promise to ourselves. We even have our own hand gestures, our in-jokes, and our favorite sayings because of our experience 1 year in the fellowship.
The official first impression was on the WhatsApp group. From the messages he sent, I got to see that this was somebody that is somewhat playful, yet he always brings in a lot of practical ideas in a playful manner.
When I saw his video, a civil engineer turned media commentator, he's so reserved, but you can be sure whenever he wants to talk, there is substance in it.
My first impression of Fatima was from the WhatsApp group first, where she was always offering people tea, even though till today we haven't gotten this tea from her. I think that Fatima is really intelligent. I think that Fatima hides a lot behind different walls. Over the fellowship, I would say that I have definitely seen some changes. I think that she's constantly learned and she's constantly trying to do better.
The first impression was that this girl will slap us. That was my first impression, a no-nonsense person. When I got into the fellowship proper, Abimbola is someone I look up to. I respect you. Your work ethic is fantastic. You deliver.
If I had to use one word to describe the fellowship, I would say exciting.
Fantastic. Great.
Phenomenal.
Inspiring.
Thrilling.
Memorable.
Insightful.
Life-changing.
Priceless.
Awesome.
Monumental.
If I was to describe the fellowship in one word, revolutionary, and I wouldn't change it for the world.